Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Creative in the Time of CTV session at the Variety Entertainment and Technology Summit. Today, we'll be talking about all things connected TV, including how it enables a refocus on ad creative. I'm Kevin Tran, media analyst for Variety Intelligence Platform, and I'm excited to understand more about all things CTV today. Let's get started. Please meet our guest, Mark Douglas, who is president and CEO of MNTN, which is a company that helps brands run advertisements on connected TVs. Welcome, Mark.
Welcome. Thanks. Appreciate it.
Great. So let's just jump right into it. So something that's been big news for your company recently was its acquisition of a marketing agency called Maximum Effort, which is headed up by Ryan Reynolds and some other folks that have experience in the space. So I was just a bit curious. What attracted MNTN to Maximum Effort, and what have been some of the benefits of joining forces so far?
Sure. So I met Ryan and George Dewey, his co-founder, and the rest of the Maximum Effort team early this year. We really just hit it off immediately. We shared a lot of vision around advertising, and we both kind of shared this vision where streaming was going, becoming this digital medium, and wanting the creative, the storytelling part of advertising to be something that is not left behind. So it quickly became a conversation of joining forces, and we announced in June that Mountain had acquired Maximum Effort, and it's really exciting to have Ryan as part of the team as our chief creative officer, and have the rest of the Maximum Effort team, kind of part of Mountain, and we have some pretty exciting stuff we're planning to introduce later this year.
Great. Are there any examples of maybe Mountain customers who have benefited from, having Maximum Effort under the same umbrella as Mountain?
Yeah, absolutely. So I can't name specific company names, but we've had a number of customers that are already partnering with Maximum Effort. So Maximum Effort remains intact, operating as this amazing award-winning agency. And so we definitely have had quite a few Mountain customers who are now in conversations with Maximum Effort or becoming Maximum Effort customers. And also the other way around. There's been Maximum Effort gets just an insane amount of inbound interest, and that has become kind of interest from Mountain also. So it's just been a lot of synergy in terms of us teaming up right from the start. And I'm just excited about the future in terms of what both companies are going to do together.
Great. So yeah, I know you can't give specific examples, but something that Mountain offers is a self-serve ad platform, which is helpful to smaller businesses who may not have the resources to run campaigns on linear TV. Can you speak a little bit to how Mountain has, helped smaller businesses run these ad campaigns to date on CTV, and maybe, some of the benefits they've seen from your company's tool?
Yeah, sure. So what Mountain does is we provide what we refer to as a performance TV platform. So the idea is the same type of advertisers and companies that make great use of paid search with Google and paid social with Facebook and others, now can have television as this new exciting medium that they can use to drive performance on their campaigns. And so that extends to all size companies. So we have customers doing billions of dollars in revenue, and we have emerging startups that are advertising for the first time on streaming television. And what we do is we provide them a full self-serve platform. We basically, in the easiest words, we're democratizing television advertising, bringing it to any company who wants to deliver a message to consumers who, potentially going to love their products. And so it's kind of a whole new world. The cost of entry in the television advertising, we brought way down. The scale and the ability to execute those campaigns we put directly in the hands of, all of our customers without huge upfront commitments, without, huge dollars needing to be allocated. So we've grown tremendously. I believe we're right now basically the fastest growing company in advertising. And it's just we're attracting, kind of all of these new companies, both to streaming and even to television advertising for the first time.
Great. Yeah, that's awesome to hear about all the growth your company is seeing. So if a company chooses to advertise with Mountain, will their ads be running across, all the major advertising streaming apps on connected TVs? Is it a certain handful? I'm just curious to hear a little more about, where this ad inventory is specifically.
Yeah, so the way that works is with streaming, everyone's aware you have what's referred to as OTT device, basically an Apple TV, a Roku, Amazon Fire Stick, Google Chromecast, or a smart TV, and all these devices have apps. They have like a Bravo app, ESPN, History Channel, Discovery. And while you're watching on-demand programming, also the Hulu app and other apps, while you're watching on demand, the biggest area of growth in connected TV right now is ad-supported streaming, essentially. And so while you're watching that, there are typically pods of ads, and all of our customers, their ads run within those pods. But the great thing about it is, one, it's done in this way that's all about driving a measurable result for the brands that are using our platform. And it's all about, essentially being able to do that and step into it and grow it over time. And so we, in terms of exactly where the ads run, every television network in America that supports essentially on-demand programming. So we had, and it's exciting to be working with essentially all those television networks and in this kind of new approach to streaming television and streaming advertising.
Great. And you mentioned something that I was also curious to hear your thoughts about with, all these ad-free streaming services seeing a lot of growth. Something that's a little more relatively new is services like Tubi and even Roku jumping into the original or exclusive content game, which is something we've already seen with like services like Disney Plus. But can you speak a little bit to maybe your thoughts on how ad-supported streamers making original content, benefits your business as well as just the world of CTV advertising?
Yeah, so I think what's really interesting, like in our business, 60% of our customers have never advertised on television before. So the market for TV content and TV advertising is expanding. You have all with this kind of democratization of basically the ad-supported streaming and advertising. You have all of these new companies coming in the market, and that's going to create basically the funds to create even more television content. And you're seeing companies do that. Like you said, Roku and others are now doing original programming. I think you're going to see more of that. I mean, it's just the growth in television. I think there's a lot of talk about, kind of linear TV. Maybe the audience there is declining, but overall television viewership, I think all the numbers I've seen are not declining. It's just this massive shift to streaming. And now you have this massive opening of the companies that can advertise there, which is expanding the market. And all of that ultimately results in content is basically more and more content, which is great for the consumer, it's great for the networks, it's great for the advertiser. I mean, it's just everyone wins in that scenario. It's kind of pretty, it's already so much great television content. And like you just mentioned, I mean, it's all being fueled by the streaming revolution, essentially. Yeah.
And with all this growth in ad-supported streaming and original content from SVODs and ad-supported streamers, this is something that's encouraging advertisers to spend more with CTV. So maybe for a brand who hasn't advertised on connected TV before, is there a certain way that they should approach their creative that's maybe different from advertising on another platform?
Yeah, I mean, the first is if you're doing TV advertising, it has to be entertaining. You have to you have to do it from the perspective of the consumer. And the consumer, it's a form of entertainment. I mean, sometimes people think that the television watchers hate ads. They don't hate ads. They just hate boring ads. I mean, if you have something that's fun and entertaining and it's just basically another source of content, actually those ads can go viral and things like that. So I think the number one thing is always keep the viewer in mind. In this world now, the other thing about streaming, it's not broadcast. Each individual household can be watching a different show or a different part of a show and be receiving different ads. So there's all these new targeting features and performance measurement features and things like that. And so when you're building the ads, you should really be considering not just this like one size fits all, but the fact that you can have one ad campaign, but you can have many treatments in there, each targeted towards a different type of audience. And we see that a lot now. I mean, they're just, when our customers build the creative, if they do that with Maximum Effort or other partners that we have, typically they're building just a whole slew of different creative from the same concept, but each somewhat tailored to different parts of the audience that out there. Because now you can target that way. You can reach different geographies. You can reach different, basically use data to basically have a message that speaks really to the exact household you're trying to reach.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. With targeting and, the increased access to data with running a campaign on connected TV versus perhaps linear TV. What are some of the other big advantages of running ad campaigns on connected TV versus linear TV?
Yeah, I mean, probably the single biggest advantage is no concept of an upfront. You can start at any level of spend, from your very low tens of thousands to, and I think that number is even going to come down lower, to hundreds of thousands and millions. And you can grow that and shrink it at any time without making any upfront commitment whatsoever. So you can really adapt your spend and marketing to essentially where your business is at, or the cycle. Most businesses have some kind of business cycle during the year, and you can just step in. You can literally just sign up, upload TV commercials, and essentially create campaigns and just sign in. This is essentially kind of like AdWords for like Google AdWords for television. Is the world that we're now living in, where it's all self-serve, it's all brand direct, it's all kind of targetable, measurable, and you can adjust the amount you're spending based on the performance you're getting, based on the time of year you're in. So that's by far the biggest change. Is requires a lot less planning, but that big, huge financial commitment, you can grow into it over time if that makes sense for your business, but you don't have to start there. And that's why you see so many more companies. I mean, it's literally hundreds of companies a quarter now advertising, at least with us, and I'm sure with others, for the first time on television, on streaming television now. And that's one of the primary reasons why.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes sense that, those kind of digital advertising skills from a place like Instagram would be transferable.
Yeah, really quickly. Even the creative wise, mm-hmm. They're very transferable.
Mm-hmm. Do you have an idea of maybe what percentage of brands' ad budget is going towards CTV currently, and maybe how that's grown over the past few years?
Yeah, I think on the linear side, a lot of companies are probably, some are just starting, some are in the 10 to 25% of budget range. That's on companies that already have TV budgets and then now are thinking like, how much should I allocate to streaming? And then on the companies that are new to TV advertising, we often see that their budgets grow to like Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat levels pretty rapidly. So you're looking at a lot of companies who, whatever they are currently spending on social, if they see performance, basically the television is now driving measurable traffic, they'll grow their TV budgets to similar levels pretty quickly. And again, the new advertiser TV tends to move very quickly. The ones that have linear budgets, there's going to be agencies involved and others. So it's kind of a big discussion of more where do you allocate the dollars as opposed to just following the data and just the amount being spent, just kind of following where the data says to go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it is an exciting time for companies such as Mountain or others that specialize in streaming TV with the shift in viewership. With all this changing dollars from platform to platform, like you just touched upon, do you think there's a ceiling for this shift to spending on CTV? Is that coming in the near future? Is it far away? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, you have this phenomenon where I think the general estimates are more than 1 million households a month are going all in on streaming. I mean, that's like a city the size of Phoenix per month are canceling cable and moving to streaming. So that's an unrelenting shift in viewership that's going to continue for a couple of more years at least before cable kind of becomes, basically not the dominant way of viewing television anymore. And we're already starting to approach that. And I think then you also have the phenomenon that there's an old saying in advertising, money follows eyeballs, right? So where the audience goes is generally where the ad dollars go. And so we're still in the very, very early phases of that, especially in terms of existing linear advertisers moving, a significant portion, half or more of their budgets to streaming. And then you have this whole new market of digital advertisers. So I think you're looking at many, many more years of really explosive growth. And we're still, for the most part, at the starting line for this, not anywhere close to the finish line. So it's just a really exciting time for all the companies that are participating in this ecosystem, as well as for all the advertisers and brands that are now benefiting from it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes sense. And, like you said, the ad dollars will follow where the eyeballs are going, which is a benefit to CTV right now. Is there anything, in your opinion, that CTV advertising in terms of capability needs to offer to attract more ad spend? Is there a certain feature that a lot of customers have been asking about, or what are your thoughts on that?
I think it's mainly the media agencies, and this is not meant to be a critique, but I think their old habits die hard, to use another cliche. And so they're kind of the cycle of adapting to streaming and putting more emphasis on streaming, I think, is where most of the lag in spending exists. All the new advertisers are just literally jumping in the deep end of the pool, but the existing dollars, I think, there's always a fear of something new. And then there's all these new habits, this more digital savvy habits that have to be developed around streaming television. So I think that is the area. I mean, I would encourage anyone in any agency, either who knows digital advertising in general, search social and others, or, is a TV media buyer, like now's the time. I mean, I have not met a brand in recent memory who is not seriously thinking about how do I put more money into streaming. So I think the agencies should, really be jumping in really hard into helping facilitate that, make that happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And do you have a perspective on maybe what the interest in CTV advertising in the US versus globally is? Is it much different? Is it more, are you sensing more excitement domestically? Is it pretty evenly split? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so I think that definitely, if you look at the cycle for just streaming in general, it started with subscription-based streaming, kind of Netflix, and then Disney Plus jumped in there, and we've always had, I mean, for as long as I can remember, HBO and Showtime services like that. And the subscription part grows first, then the ad-supported part grows. And once you start reaching the ad-supported part is where each market is really truly adopted streaming, and you get this migration of consumers away from like kind of satellite-based or cable-based content. And so in the US, we're well into that, right? So the Netflix and even Hulu, although Hulu was ad support right from the start, led that cycle. Disney jumped in and others. And now we have every TV network essentially putting all their content onto streaming, and most of them in an ad-supported format. When you go outside the US, I think they're still in an earlier stage of that. The subscription part of it is well underway with Netflix and others having offerings worldwide. I mean, Netflix only went global, I think 36 months ago, roughly, like 2 summers ago, maybe. It might be one more summer that I actually remember that I was in Cannes Lion, I think, when they announced that. And then, and so I think markets like the UK and Germany are not quite as far along as the US, but that cycle is underway also with, just more and more content available on demand, and therefore more ad-supported content also. So it's a global thing that's happening, but the US is definitely, kind of led the way, and the rest of the world is on a different part of the adoption curve. But I think they'll be caught up in the next 24 months. I mean, it's just moved. We saw it move really fast in the US, and there's no reason to believe it won't. The adoption of ad-supported streaming won't move just as fast globally.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's interesting to hear about. I think I would agree definitely that the US is, very heavily saturated with streaming, and, some other markets have yet to catch up. Do you think there's a future where some subscription-only services will launch an ad tier, maybe to get some untapped growth, because that would benefit your business. So I'm just curious to hear if you have any thoughts on that.
Yeah, I do. And I can't say that I have any information, like unique information certainly, or anything like that. But I've thought for years it makes sense for Netflix to have like kind of an ad-supported price offering. If you look at Hulu, Hulu obviously has a subscription for streaming, but you can pay extra if you don't want ads, but a minority of their customers do that. The vast majority essentially say, no, I'd rather see you have ads as part of programming than pay to not have them. And that as partial, obviously everyone's always likes to save money, but also if the ads are good, people don't know, then they're another form of entertainment. So I think that the, Netflix, Disney, my personal prediction is at some point they will have ad-supported price points, which in theory could go down as low as no charge. But we'll see how that unfolds.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting topic to think about. I mean, people are always, speculating about Netflix jumping in the game, which to me seems a little unlikely now. But, again, HBO Max has an ad-supported tier, which if you told me that would be happening, maybe 5 or so years ago, might seem a little more far-fetched. But yeah.
As long as, I mean, I get that like a Netflix feels like, well, we've always been a pure subscription service and we, our customers are used to it. But as long as it's an option, then, and the customer then has the choice, I think then there's always going to be, quite frankly, probably a pretty significant percentage of the customer base that might opt into that choice. And so, again, we'll see how that develops over the next months and years.
Yeah, they're definitely looking for growth domestically. So we'll both be keeping our eyes out for any announcements. switching gears a little bit, something that is possible, with CTV advertising, which isn't on linear, is something like an engaging shoppable ad experience or something like that, where the viewer can interact with an ad. What are your thoughts on, how that interplays with your business, and are shoppable ads something that's going to become more common with CTV advertising in the future?
I mean, I think it's definitely an interesting area to experiment with and to see. But I also think that when we're talking about, there's web. Let me back up. There's web video and there's television. They are not the same. I think most people sit down and watch television. We want a story. We want a game that we're watching, or we want to see, professional, episodic content of some form, and, really just merge into that. And merge may not be the right word, but just enjoy that, so to say. And so I think most people, when they watch TV, like to watch it on an actual television, on a big screen, sit back, enjoy their favorite reality show or sports game, or, a lot original content that's being put out there. And that is not conducive to interactive ads, right? It's a passive viewing experience, and being entertained. There is a role for phones and tablets, and a lot of people do watch TV on their phones and tablets, which can be made more interactive. But again, if I'm watching TV on my phone, which I do outside the house, I'm not staring at it, holding it in my hands, ready to click on things. It's all a form of entertainment. So I think there's a role for that, but I don't see it as us being anywhere close to that becoming something that's a major part of anyone's ad budget or form of ad delivery, in the near future.
Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. I definitely, would agree that a lot of people, when they're watching TV on the big screen, kind of want to kick back, maybe not necessarily merge that with playing a game all the time. But I can also see where the interactivity could be useful in some senses.
It can be.
Yeah.
I mean, because it's essentially television these days is a multi-device experience. You have the one you're watching, and then just about everyone at least has their phone right by them, or even in their hands, or a laptop. So you can extend it, but I think those things will probably be reserved for like a complete takeover of a show, or near complete takeover of a show, where you're making that ad experience almost part of the entertainment experience itself. And that kind of thing is just not scalable, given the number of new advertisers entering the market and the migration of linear budgets over the streaming. So it plays a role, but I don't think you'll see it as a kind of dominant form of advertising in the near future.
Mm-hmm. Yep, makes sense with definitely the shift in viewership to streaming. Well, great. Thank you for that wonderful conversation, Mark. It was
Thank you.
Good to learn more about yourself and your company, as well as your thoughts on CTV today. To our viewers at home, thank you for watching, and please stay tuned for the next session.